Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Off the Cuff with me, Arioch. Today we're going to talk about something unusual, and this is pretty much the best and only example that I have, but it's of handcuff manufacturers that also made locks. Now, many companies did this. Hyatt in England made smaller padlocks. So did Frogget, especially with the little plug cuffs. You know, the single ones. They advertise them as being able to use on barn gates and stuff like that. And in America, we have Romer, which we're going to look at today. They made handcuffs and padlocks as well. And way before this was ER. ER made famously handcuffs, leg irons, and they also made a lot of padlocks. I've handled and seen dozens since I've been collecting. I have like 3 or 4 left in my collection. I got to the point where I just wanted one example of all the different sizes that I could find. So if I find one that's a different size than I have, I'll buy it. But I've passed over a lot that are just exactly the same as ones that I have already. But anyway, today we're going to look at the Romer. Now, I don't have the leg irons of these yet. And I'm going to put that off for a while unless I start making money from the channel. But these cuffs look like giant padlocks. And I've always wanted these ever since I was a kid. And I think in a book about Houdini, there's a great photo of him where these are very prominent. And if I can find it, I'll flash it at the end of the video. And I'll also flash up some, patent papers and things like that. So stick around till the end, because that's when I always show the close-ups. Made by Walton Brothers. I'm not even going to attempt to show you the markings because even in the close-ups that you'll see at the end, they're very, very faint. But when you get a little teeny bit of oil and put it on there and look and tilt it in the right light, it shows up a lot better. I'm just not going to do that right now. The workings on these are okay. I made a couple of keys for them. I'm not going to open them right now because they are a bit tight, you know what I mean? And I just don't like opening these that much because they're the only pair that I have. And then when I traveled through flea markets and various lock shows and things, I also found 2 different size padlocks. And if you notice, the keyways are a bit different. Now, these were used a lot on railroads, okay? And that's pretty much, when you see this thing on the back, and sometimes they'll have the dust cover on the front, they're pretty much obvious railroad locks. This doesn't appear to have ever had a chain attached like some, and I don't have keys for any of these, but, when the weather breaks, I'll make them, or I have duplicates or something in the collection. But these are made out of total brass casings there. They're beautiful. And so far I just have 2 examples, and they have really good stampings as well. That one says 2. They seem to be very proud of being from Newark, New Jersey, and I've been there. Yep. Okay, so that about does it for this week's edition of Off the Cuff. I know it's weird, I'm just, featuring one little one in here, but it's just something that as I was going through the collection caught my eye, so I thought, you know what, why not feature this week? And also, if you guys know of any other companies that also made padlocks, please let me know so I can keep an eye out in my travels. For example, say I saw a Towers padlock, I'd snag it right up. That would be really cool. I did, however, have a Rankin lock, but it wasn't a padlock. It was stamped Rankin, and it was for either a blanket chest or a piece of furniture, okay? And I did get rid of that in a trade with John for, one of the treasures that I really enjoy. He really wanted that, so... and he admired it when he was here, and I was like, there's no way, dude. Normally, I only trade if I have more than one, but you know, he really, really wanted that. So I was like, that's cool, dude. You can have it, you know. And he hooked me up with, you know, the neck collar and stuff over the years. So, you know, that was awesome. He was also an expert in these cuffs, and, you know, I'm sure you've seen one of his lectures or whatever. Okay, everybody, so we will see you again next time, and please don't forget to subscribe and share.